All right, I wanted to do a little video here. I wanted to give myself some time to play the game a little bit more. Not that I'm a big expert in the game or Overwatch in general, but I kind of wanted to give my opinions on the whole Jeff situation. Jeff has a very strong kit, just in general. So just to talk about that for a sec, he's got a very strong kit. His left click, obviously a heal that heals quite well. There's 100 rounds in his squirt gun, so you can heal quite a bit, and his reload is pretty quick as well. So very strong just as a healer. I'm pretty sure it's got near infinite range as well. There is a bit of a lead to it, so if your teammate is moving, you do kind of have to aim ahead of them. But regardless, it's a very strong heal that can heal through targets as well, so you can heal multiple at the same time with that burst. Really strong. His attack is also very strong. It does quite a bit of damage, and it has splash. A lot of the healers I play, mainly Luna and Mantis, both of them you kind of have to aim your shots and be pretty precise. You still have to be on target with this too, but it's a little more forgiving. You can get some splash damage on the ground if they're jumping around a lot and stuff. So you can still kind of get hits in, even if you're not directly hitting your target. Plus, you're hitting their teammates as well, if there's any teammates in the area. So really strong left and right click there. Now, while I say that, I should point out that my controls are very different than other people's, so my buttons are going to be different. So I probably shouldn't kind of comment on what button each thing is on. So we'll just worry about the actual abilities themselves, not what button they're on. But anyway, moving on from there, he's got his bubbles. So he's got 6 of them at a time, and you can kind of, again, splash damage. If your teammates are all in the area, they all get hit by it. Not only do they all get healed, but they all get a little speed boost as well. So it's really strong. And the other thing is, once they charge up here, you can actually spam them pretty quick. There's no like cooldown on them or anything like that. We'll just wait till we have 3 here, so we can kind of spam these bubbles pretty quickly, right? There's no, obviously once they're gone you can't spam them anymore, but you could spam out all 6 at once if you wanted to and get some really massive AoE heals on your team. Again, very strong. And then you could kind of, what I do is I kind of place them off to the side. If the enemy team's over here, I'll put them over here so my teammates can fall back and grab them or whatever. Stuff like that. So they're very versatile, these bubbles. Moving on from there, he's got his mobility. I mean, he's pretty quick to begin with. But then you can go under the ground and move around that way. Now, while you're under here, you also can heal. You're now regenning quite quickly, and you're a harder target to hit, right? So again, very strong, and you can go up walls. So just very difficult to kill him, unless you can just nail him down or you can team fire him or whatever. Overall, like, everything in his kit is very strong. Now, the most controversial one, I feel, is obviously his ult. The thing with his ult, so a lot of people say, oh, just dodge it. Just when you hear it, get out of the way. It's not quite that simple, and anybody that says that, I question their experience with the game itself. So when you first go into Jeff's ult, you'll hear that his little whatever, but you don't actually see anything until you hear that bell, and that comes up pretty damn quick. Unless you're like already out of it or on the way out of it, which can be very hard because he can reposition. So if you're trying to run away, he can follow you pretty damn quickly to catch up to you. And again, very quick to come out, and it's very hard to actually avoid it. I've seen him grab Iron Men out of the sky even, so it's not even just ground based. You can't jump out of it. It doesn't seem like you can fly out of it. I haven't done a ton of testing on that to know for sure, but it's pretty difficult to get away from. So again, it's all in a very powerful kit. And obviously the biggest issue that people are having with this is the whole, I'm not sure if I'll actually reach an edge here. But the fact that you can spit enemies off the edge of the map, I think that is obviously going to be the biggest, most frustrating part. Everybody loves Jeff in general. He's cute. He's kind of funny. But with the whole spitting people off maps, it's kind of, people are starting to not like Jeff so much. So again, the biggest part here is the fact that you can spit people off the map. You can grab up a whole enemy team and take them all off the edge. And that's the worst part. You can sacrifice yourself and jump off with the enemy team still in your mouth. You don't even have to worry about spitting them, which makes it even more difficult. Because for those of you who don't know, when you're at the edge, typically you want to like aim down when you spit them, right? Typically you want to spit them down, so if they do have some kind of movement, characters like Psylocke or even Doctor Strange being able to levitate and stuff like that, typically you want to aim down because you're going to shoot them towards the out of bounds zone, so they have no chance to fly up or use their movement, right? So that's typically what you want to do. But then if he just takes you off the edge and he dies too, you've now sacrificed Jeff, sure, but you've probably taken out quite a few of their team, right? It's usually a worthy sacrifice. And I think the main problem here, in my opinion, I don't think that is how he was designed to be used, right? I don't think that is how the devs intended for him to be used, and it has become the biggest problem with him. Again, my teammate over there, I don't know if I'm going to catch him. So my one teammate was hurt, right? So I scoop him up and I can kind of spit him to safety, and I can get the enemy team out of here, right? That is, I believe, the intention. Or another option is obviously to, if you're fighting on the point, grab up the enemy team with Jeff, take them off the point while your team is still on the point to get the cap, right? I had a game like that earlier where I scooped up like 3 of the enemy team. I took them off the point. My team was still on the point. It was overtime. We won. I think that is how he was intended to be used. And I just don't think the devs intended for him to be this sacrificial jump off the map or even just spit enemies off the map. I don't think that's how he was intended to be used. Now, with that gone, with his ability to take people off the map, spit them off the map, his kit is still very strong, and I don't think he would be as frustrating if that I don't even want to call it a tech or a strategy or whatever. If that was removed from the equation, I don't think Jeff would be as frustrating, because again, he's so hard to hit. He regens while he's underneath, which while he's in his ult, he is underneath. As a Mantis main, I can't sleep him out of it. I believe Wolverine can leap, or whatever his ability is called, can leap him out of it. I think I've seen Psylocke's ult kill him out of it, which I mean makes sense because he's targetable, right? So she's just zipping around doing damage. So that makes sense. But just in general, trying to just straight up shoot him, I've seen other Jeffs be able to like splash damage him out of it as well. But just in general, unless you get super team coordination and everybody focuses in on that, and that's assuming your team didn't get gobbled up by him, it's just very difficult to deal with that. But once that is out of the equation, I don't think there's any issues with Jeff. He's got a very strong kit, but that frustration is now gone, and he's just a good healer. In my opinion, pretty much every healer in the game, or sorry, strategist in the game, is solid. I wouldn't really say any are bad. I think Rocket might be maybe he's a little bit harder to play, and he might need another support or another strategist as support to help him out with healing a bit more. But his revives are really good. And yeah, every other healer I would say is solid. Mantis and Jeff probably being at the top. I don't like doing tier lists, but if there was a tier list, maybe S plus, S, whatever the top of your list wants to be. Well, all the other healers are probably split between like S and A or whatever. They're all pretty solid and they all have their uses. But yeah, I think the biggest issue here is, again, spitting off the edge. Now, here's my solution that I think would be very simple and you don't have to mess with his kit. Put up invisible walls. I don't think there's a single map where the out of bounds area has any strategy or tactical element to it. Most of the time, it's just like the side of the map where nobody really goes. Nobody's falling off the edge of the map. Nobody's fighting around the edge of the map. And whoa, we gotta be careful. We don't fall off during this intense fight. That stuff just doesn't happen. Maybe that'll come in future maps, but right now it just doesn't happen. So you don't want to do just a physical wall and block off all this because it's going to feel a lot more claustrophobic. If you just put an invisible wall here so you can't go off the edge, I don't think you're losing anything strategy wise from the game. And now the Jeff problem is gone. Now you could leave it. There are some maps where there's I'm trying to think of maps, but there are like central pits that aren't quite the outside of the map. They're just little pits on the side. Those I think you could leave in and still kind of, you might have the occasional Jeff, I don't want to say the unaliving of Jeff to get enemy kills sometimes. But I think for the most part, the problem is kind of eliminated now. You're not getting spit off the edge of the map every map where Jeff's got to run off to the side completely out of the play and throw somebody off the side of the map. All you do is put an invisible wall there and it stops it. Jeff doesn't lose any of his kit. He's still very strong as a healer, and now I feel he gets to play as he was intended to play. He's more of like a split the teams to kind of protect your own team, right? And I think that would solve it. Is it the perfect solution? I don't know. I think it would need testing, but I do think it would remove the frustration of Jeff, and keep him as just a solid healer. But yeah, I don't want to get too long-winded here. I think that's kind of all I wanted to say on it. Again, I don't really have any issues with Jeff, but it is obviously super frustrating when you can get scooped up fairly easily. There's then very little counterplay to get yourself out of that, or you can't get yourself out of it, but your team, there's very little counterplay for your team to get you out of it, aside from like blowing ults or just super concentrated fire on him. So yeah, I think that's just the most frustrating part, and it makes Jeff feel like an unfun to go against character. And yeah, I would like to see that fixed. It's probably one of my only issues with that's not necessarily true. I'm gonna say it's one of my only balance issues right now, but I think it's one of the most glaring ones. Is just the fact that Jeff can spit people off the edge of the map. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like something Jeff would do. It just doesn't feel right. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I personally think that would kind of solve the issue with Jeff right now, and we could all go back to enjoying the game and not being frustrated by being thrown off the edge by Jeff. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next